Salute, salute, salute. Shout out to everybody in the building. Y'all know I got to get this right or I just won't be right. Hold on. Shout out to everybody out there, man. We got a situation going on in Chicago, guys. Yeah, it looks like Trump decided to go ahead and send in the military, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's looking like it's about to be a whole situation over there, y'all, as far as Chicago goes. And we also got Trump, the Supreme Court basically going against what they want in LA, man. And they've been speaking out about that too. This mass deportation situation is most definitely causing a lot of controversy, man. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Let's get the likes up. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Y'all know I got to get it right or I won't be right. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. How y'all doing this morning? Yeah, man. Wake up early, you know what I'm saying, with everything news so you can get your news fixed. You know what I'm talking about? You'll be prepared for the day once you leave here. You'll be knowing pretty much a lot about a lot that's going on in the world outside your door, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't make this up. But yeah, man. They call it Operation Operation Midday or Midway? Operation Midway. That's what they are calling this that they got going on in Chicago, guys. The troops on the ground is most definitely looking like a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Let's check it out, man. Shout out to everybody. Continue to double tap that screen. That's how you hit that like button. That's how you get the likes up. And most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new. We on the road to 50K, man. Yeah, we in the building, man. Let's go.
The Trump administration is ramping up its mass deportation efforts, going after undocumented immigrants in Chicago in what officials call Operation Midway Blitz.
Midway Blitz, that's what it was.
That story.
The Trump administration stepping up its crackdown on illegal immigration in Chicago. Seen here arresting a man from Mexico, ICE says, was wanted for aggravated sexual assault of a child.
You try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. You try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Over the weekend, President Trump posting an AI-generated image of himself with the phrase, "Shypocalypse now." The caption,
Shypocalypse.
"I love the smell of deportations in the morning." The
wow.
president saying he is still considering sending the National Guard there to reduce crime.
We'd love to go into Chicago and straighten it out. We're bringing back law and order to our country.
Over the last 2 weekends, there have been 14 homicides and at least 76 people shot in Chicago, with one alderman telling us National Guard troops would free up police.
I absolutely support the Trump administration bringing in more federal resources. Our city needs as much help as we could possibly get.
But Chicago's Democratic mayor is increasingly pushing back, writing the city just experienced record low homicide numbers, making this the safest summer since the 1960s.
Our communities remain united more than ever against the administration's attempt to unleash the military.
Hold up, y'all. I gotta do this.
ICE agents on our city and state.
In a legal victory for the president, a conservative Supreme Court majority loosened restrictions on ICE operations in LA. But in her dissent, liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor writing, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job." The White House insisted it does not target people based on race.
It's a multitude of factors to establish reasonable suspicion. But if an illegal alien has an MS-13 tattoo on his head, that's certainly going to be one of the factors that we consider.
Thanks to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez for that report. I want to bring in now Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson of Illinois. Parts of your district are in Chicago. They include the South Side. So when you hear
Operation Midway Blitz, guys, is the name of what ICE got going on in Chicago. Now, Trump has been threatening to do this for a while. Well, yesterday he put the plan in motion, guys, and this done caused a lot of chaos. Y'all heard him speak on the Supreme Court ruling in LA that also done caused a lot of chaos. We're going to get to it all, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Continue to get those likes up. If you're on a mobile device, double tap your screen. If you're on any other kind of device, click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up.
this live ball debate of will the National Guard be helpful? Won't they be helpful? You've got some in your community saying, yeah, it would free up police. Why are they wrong in your estimation?
Well,
or are they?
Well, they are wrong, and it's what the general function of the Department of Defense, now that he's renamed the Department of War. He is now turning his head away from peace towards war. This is talking about putting the American troops on American soil against American citizens. This is unprecedented. In the name of law and order, he's actually trampling the Constitution from the Posse Comitatus Act of 1887. I mean, he is trampling the rights and is so rich with contradictions and paradox. No, we don't need him to send in military troops. We do need him to send in the resources. He's cut the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and we've got ghost guns that come in from Indiana, come in from other neighboring states. In the city of Chicago, there's not one gun shop, there's not one gun range, there's not one African American that sells ammunition anywhere in the United States. How are children getting guns? Help us solve that problem on how these children are getting our streets flooded with guns.
Well, because we were talking right before we came to this segment about how when we talk about the gun violence that the city of Chicago has seen, some of that happens literally close to home. I mean, in your district. So what are your constituents saying about this issue of crime prevention and what actually might help?
Well, no one wants to see bayonets on the streets of America. When I saw those long armed rifles here in Washington, D.C., it made my heart skip a beat. These officers and these great soldiers, they are trained to defend. They are trained to shoot and kill. They're not trained to deal with civic matters amongst individual constituents. That's what happens at the local order. If the president wants to be helpful, he should ask the governor and the mayor how he can best help. One way you can do it is
what would be the ways to do it?
Well, reducing they've cut back on the money for anti-violence prevention. There were grant programs that were in there. They were working. We respect the police in our city and the troopers in our state. Why don't you talk to them? Why don't you have a summit, convene all the necessary parties? We all have the same goal in mind, I believe so, and that's to reduce violence. But this seems to be a campaign of fear.
I do think that when we talk about this, the other piece, too, is the administration kind of sounds like maybe they're waffling on it now, like they want to do the ICE deportations piece, but not necessarily bring in the National Guard, at least not immediately.
Well, he's waffling on everything. It's on trade agreements, China on, China off, sanction on, sanction off. People are coming in here after April 2nd. They're going to redo the world order on trade. And it's not made America first. It's made America isolated. He's making America go along. So he's backtracking on everything. Then he'll come back and tell us, in 2 weeks now, you're going to see it. It's going to be great. It's going to be big. Give me 2 more weeks. You're going to see. He's doing everything to do mass distraction. There are some legal issues here going on that are personal.
Said Trump is doing a mass distraction, guys. Whoa. Could it be a distraction from the Epstein files? That's what they keep on saying, man. Continue to get those likes up. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Him in Washington, D.C. that we don't want to be involved in, and he's looking for another headline to escape his personal responsibility.
You're sort of talking about the politics of distraction around the Jeffrey Epstein case files.
Oh, they said it too.
Update on that. But before we make that turn, I do just want to ask you, because of the waffling and the back and forth, how are you and the governor and other Illinois officials, the mayor, like, are you on a text chain? I mean, how are you all keeping apprised of what each other are hearing and knowing so that you have the most up-to-date information?
Well, I talk to the elected officials all the time. I just happened to bump into Senator Dick Durbin the other day. We all share the same concerns. What's happening now is unprecedented. He is trampling the Constitution. He's overreaching his authority. And all presidents have had the challenge of the restraint of power. How do you protect the nation, yet also let the people have liberty? This Chicago-copolis, or whatever he's calling it, he comes from a very, very dark place. Now he's basically calling the American cities the enemy. He's saying that Chicago represents American carnage. Like, what is wrong with this person? We've got millions of tourists that come. There are 77 communities in the city of Chicago. 22 communities have the highest level of violence. Most of the communities in the city of Chicago have no gun violence. And so to paint the whole city is absolutely incredible, and it's wrong.
Congressman, I really appreciate you coming in, giving us sort of the grounds view of what you're hearing from your constituents and in your community. And we'll, of course, continue to keep a close watch on what's happening in Chicago. Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson of Illinois, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's a lot going on in Chicago, guys. You know what I'm saying? It is a lot going on in Chicago, y'all. That ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Because they actually spoke more about this whole entire situation, man. With Trump basically sending in the troops to Chicago. Check this one out. Hold on, that ain't the right stuff. Hold up.
Joni Lum, who has the story. Joni.
And good morning. There's an immigrant rights group that has rapid response teams on the ground, and they report that immigrants have been detained in 3 Chicago locations on the southwest side. ICE confirming that they are carrying out what Homeland Security calls Operation Midway Blitz. It is aimed at Illinois, the governor of Illinois being mentioned as the reason for this. Chicago leaders confirmed that people were picked up on Archer Avenue at 47th, 49th, and 51st Streets
Man, they
on
is really
Sunday.
getting them up out of
The
there.
Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights Organization has those teams out there watching ICE activity. A person from the community shot some video of the detention as advised by activists. One of the detainees was a well-known flower vendor in the neighborhood. Neighbors say that person didn't harm or bother anyone, and the arrest happened right outside a Chicago high school.
Was never about arresting the worst of the worst. It's been about terrorizing our communities, but we will not be intimidated.
ICE and Homeland Security say they are here to remove dangerous threats from the public. People who are going to work and school are very concerned about this, some afraid to do that. And there's going to be another protest march in downtown Chicago. We were with Live Now on Saturday showing that protest. It was large, about 2,000 people who shut down the streets in downtown Chicago. Again, that group will gather here on Michigan Avenue during afternoon rush hour today. Reporting live, I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
And Joni, we do appreciate Fox 32 there in Chicago for sharing those images with us. Before I let you go, I'm wondering, because I'm seeing you're standing out there in the street, have you noticed any increase in police presence around in the area you're at?
Not this morning. There will be later today, though. We saw some crews who were setting up. In Chicago, there is communication and coordination between Chicago police and those activists who plan to protest here. So on Saturday, I walked the entire route of that protest. There were police at every corner to make sure that...
And we got over 300 people in the building, man. Can we get those likes up? Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, y'all. Let's get the likes moving. Shout out to everybody in the building. This is the situation that's going on in Chicago right now as we speak, as Trump has deployed the National Guard to Chicago in Operation Midway Blitz, guys. This is what's going on with the mass deportation situation. Get the likes up, y'all. Get the likes up.
It gets hurt during these things. There was an instigator who was trying to stir up trouble, and they were able to de-escalate that situation. Here in Chicago, safety authorities are proud that they are able to manage these big protests almost on a weekly basis, having had a lot of experience in this area. Now, there are people out in the neighborhoods who are reporting that they're seeing U.S. Customs Border Protection trucks on the move, ICE agents on the move, and so people in the neighborhood are watching for that part of law enforcement. Back to you.
All right, Joni Lum, thank you so much for your time as you were covering this very important story. You take care, and we'll check in soon. I want to head back out live to this image that we have over the Chicago skyline there. As Joni just mentioned, more protests are set for later on today, given these immigration
They will
raids.
be protesting,
now,
guys.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, he has been locked in a back and forth with President Trump for days there, criticizing the move. He, as well as Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson, defending the state and city's extensive sanctuary laws, which bar coordination between local police and immigration agents. They've accused the Trump administration of using scare tactics, particularly with Latino residents in the nation's third largest
scare tactics.
I want to bring us back out to this social media post here from Governor Pritzker regarding this entire situation, which he says, once again, this isn't about fighting crime that requires support and coordination, yet we've experienced nothing like that.
This is the governor of Chicago, guys.
Instead of taking steps to work with us on public safety, the Trump administration's focused on scaring Illinoisans. I want to play out a part of this anti-ICE rally that we did see just yesterday in Chicago in anticipation for more protests to happen later today. Let's watch.
And we fight back for us. We save ourselves. And I don't do it just as an elected official. I do it with these incredible people behind me who are doing the work, who are doing the rapid response, who are educating people about know your rights. And I want to tell you how quickly this is happening. I had someone knocking in Little Village and literally at my house yesterday making sure that my household knew our rights because of everything that was going on. I am seeing these incredible people taking videos and documenting and actually getting resources to the families that are being impacted by these abductions. We take care of us. We fight for us. And for everybody listening out there, I know you're afraid. I know there's a million emotions, but you are not alone. We are not alone. We will fight back together because that's what solidarity looks like and that's what community power looks like. For people that are asking questions, record, take pictures, take all the details down. If you see something happening, let people know. There is a hotline, the Family Support Hotline, 855-435-79 or
Chicago is hot.
3. Take those numbers down, save it in your phone. When you see something, report it. Because the more information that we have, we're able to get people out to see and verify if it's happening and to offer resources and support where we can. But at the end of the day, this is the same message that when I walked on 18th Street with my neighbors in Pilsen this week because people were afraid of having the 18th Street Mexican Independence Day Parade. And what I will continue to say on Sunday when we march with my Little Village neighbors on the 26th Street Parade, I am damn proud to be Mexican. And I'll say this in Spanish. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
This is a protest in Chicago, guys, about what Trump is doing with Operation Midway Blitz, guys. They are upset. Shout out to Brenda.
All right, as you all know,
for that
the attacks that we have been seeing happening across the country have been also attacks that have impacted other communities. We saw the videos from Los Angeles, we saw the videos from Washington, D.C. And here in Chicago, we have a long history of movement building and solidarity. And so when we say we keep us safe, we also mean that we're going to keep this community safe and all other communities that are under attack. And so I want to welcome Homan from the Black Voter Project.
Thank you. My name is Homan Osaibovo, and I'm an NFC coalition member and an organizer with the Chicago Black Voter Project. Thank you, ICER, for the invitation to join you. I'm here to stand in solidarity with the people of this community, Archer Heights, the hundreds of community and legal organizations representing the city of Chicago, and this divinely designed multiracial jewel of a city that we call home. Operation Midway Blitz is not an attack on one community or on the southwest side of this city. It is the sign of a targeted, militarized operation that threatens us all. This disturbingly wicked and calculated assault on human dignity delights in ripping apart families, terrorizing hardworking people on their way to work, mocking religious belief by kidnapping people as they pray in their place of worship, and weaponizing familial love as they prey on parents and children on their way to school. Shame! I said shame! It is an embarrassment to be associated in any manner with the government committing these atrocities. We know from our allies in California and Washington, D.C. that the most vulnerable among us, the houseless, the economically disadvantaged, and Black and brown communities are next. Racist bias in immigration policies has caused Black migrants to be historically disproportionately deported and denied pathways to citizenship. My family knows that all too well. As a first-generation American, I can say that, Nigerian American. But it was my Black Baptist church on the west side of Chicago that taught me to organize. It was West Garfield Park that taught me advocacy and mutual aid. They taught me to care for everyone through food distributions, emergency housing, and financial support. Black American families are far too familiar with the racist dog whistles of right-wing extremists that seek to criminalize even our children at birth. Recently, the largest ICE detention in history targeted hard-working South Korean migrants at a Hyundai factory in Georgia. Shame. I want y'all to understand, and we need to understand, that all of us are impacted by this game, this sick show of hatred, and we have always been interconnected. We will always be interconnected. Today and every day, we stand 10 toes down with our neighbors. The parents of kids we grew up with, going to playgrounds, walking to corner stores, the family businesses that we love that keep our communities afloat. We build beloved community through solidarity, and we demand the same for our communities. Just like we have always resisted the oppression of Black Americans through organized, unrelenting devotion to collective progress, we will continue to fight for the investments in the public good that all of our communities deserve. Through Know Your Rights trainings, mutual aid, and legal support, the NFC Coalition is standing with this community, and we will continue to rise in support of every human being that calls this city home. Thank you.
Let's get the lights up past 100, guys. This is a protest rally, basically, against what Trump has going with Operation Midway Blitz that's happening in Chicago, guys. Get the lights up. Let's get the lights up past 100. We got way too many people not to have enough lights. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. We on the road to 50K. Every subscriber counts, so subscribe.
Next up, and as I mentioned, and I want to take a moment here to highlight, like, the broad network of support of many people that are here that represent other communities that are part of this fight across the city. And we also know that one of the things that people will need in the fight for people when they get arrested.
This channel is here to present both sides, AJ. We're not for or against anyone. We just putting the information forth. That's it. That's all.
Usually that's the start of the fight, right? When they get arrested, they have to go through the legal services. So I want to highlight our colleagues at the National Immigrant Justice Center, Cecilia, to come speak here to talk to us about the lines of recourse and other ways that legal agencies are supporting in this moment.
All right. Hello, my name is Cecilia Mendoza, and I'm with the National Immigrant Justice Center. President Trump and Stephen Miller have been targeting our immigrant communities on nearly every front since the administration returned to office in January, from rounding up people at their court hearings and ICE check-ins, including now taking unaccompanied children from their beds in government shelters in the dead of night and putting them on planes to Guatemala in an attempt to disrupt their legal proceedings, and that is not right. While the president has repeatedly invoked false narratives about public safety in Chicago, the administration's actions are showing that their true intention is to terrorize immigrants and their loved ones, including children. NIJC is working with our partners here and many legal service providers across the city and the state to provide as many people as possible with access to legal counsel before they are disappeared by federal agents and denied the opportunity to have their immigration claims fairly considered. If someone is detained, please call the Family Support Network hotline to connect with legal services. We're also watching to ensure compliance with the Illinois Trust Act, and we're prepared to go to court to hold Trump's federal agents accountable for violations of the Castañón consent decree and the U.S. Constitution. The hotline is critical to this response. We encourage everyone to document and report as many facts as possible if they see federal officers making arrests. And again, to highlight the phone number, 855-435-7693. Under the Trust Act, state and city police should not be assisting immigration enforcement in any way and should not be asking for information about anyone's legal status. The Castañón Nava consent decree restricts ICE's ability to make traffic stops or to arrest someone without a warrant. Please report those vehicle stops or any potential violations to the hotline. The truth is, this administration has a limited...
Now, the sanctuary cities thought they were safe. Trump said absolutely not. We sending troops everywhere. Understand that it's not only happening in Chicago, it's happening in places like D.C., Massachusetts. It's a lot of places that are experiencing troops on the ground in their local towns and cities, guys. Double tap that screen. Get the lights up. You know, we should be well past 97. We got 1,000 people in the building. Y'all get those lights up. Click those 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up, man. You know, or double tap your screen if you're on a phone, man. Let's get the lights up. Show support for the channel by hitting that like button. We ain't asking you for no money. We're only asking you to hit that like button. Get the likes up, guys. Shout out to everybody that's in the building.
Many of the legal avenues available for people to be freed from detention once they're abducted by ICE. It is so important for our communities to work together right now to defend people from falling victim to unlawful arrests. Taking these violations to federal court may also be one of the last remaining remedies to get people out of detention under this regime. Thank you to all our allies and community members for continuing to come together quickly and doing the important work that shows we keep us safe. Thank you.
We are listening in here to a rally that was held just yesterday in Chicago. This is in anticipation for some more protests later on today, not just in Chicago, but in several cities across the country, given this immigration crackdown from the Trump administration. We do want to step away for a quick commercial break, but we'll continue with more of these rallies and your top stories when we come back. The West Coast, thanks for joining us here at Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Carla Hara. We're staying with some more of these immigration headlines, but the focus continues to be over in Chicago, where Operation Midway Blitz, which was...
The mayor has spoken. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago says the city of Chicago received no notice of any enhanced immigration action by the Trump administration. We remain opposed to any potential militarized immigration enforcement without due process because of ICE track record of detaining and deporting American citizens and violating the human rights of hundreds of detainees, guys. That's what Brandon Johnson said, and he's the mayor of Chicago. Let's go.
Just announced by the Trump administration is going to be targeting the U.S.'s third largest city, The mayor there, Mayor Brandon Johnson, posting this on X, saying, quote, the city of Chicago received no notice of any enhanced immigration action by the Trump administration. We remain opposed to any potential militarized immigration enforcement without due process because of ICE's track record of detaining and deporting American citizens and violating the human rights of hundreds of detainees. Just before the commercial break, I'm showcasing a rally held just yesterday in Chicago to protest this immigration enforcement. Let's continue to watch.
Let's go.
I'm Evelyn Vargas from Organized Communities Against Deportation. And on Sunday, we saw agents take our neighbors and not just fail to follow their own process, but intentionally doing so, intentionally failing to produce warrants to foster fear in our communities so that folks don't know what happens when they go out to get food for their families.
What's
don't
up,
know what
Josh?
happens when they go out to pick up their children. Don't know if they can go to church. And these agents, Trump administration is not looking for a reason to be provoked. Our presence is enough. That's why they're here. They just are looking to abduct and cause fear. And we have known this. And we know that none of us deserves this. We are all able and should be able to live lives that are peaceful and are able to just be with our families and not have to worry about whether we can have a cookout at the park. And Trump...
Y'all continue to get those likes up. Double tap that screen. If you're on a mobile device, click those 3 dots, get the likes up. You know, hit that thumbs up. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is Everything News. We're covering the mass deportation situation with the troops on the ground in Chicago, guys.
Administration will say this is normal. It is not. They will say that the ICE agents are here to make America better. They are not. They will say that they are here to make Chicago safer. They are not. And I know this because we keep each other safe. I know this because these abductions come on the heels of thousands of Chicagoans showing up on Saturday to march arm in arm. I know this because our community showed up this morning and again right now to condemn these abductions of our neighbors. I know it because it's our community, it's our members, our people that are answering the calls whenever someone calls to report that they have seen ICE. And that number is right here. Write it down. Take one of these green cards and call us. Call us so that ICE can't go and knock on doors without us knowing. Can't go and stop.
So they're asking the people, you know, that's in neighborhoods and things of that nature, that when they see ICE, to call that number so they can put out the word that ICE is around.
People in their cars without us hearing about it. Can't go and have lunch without us bothering them. We ought to know. We know a lot now. There's more of us than there are of them. Call the hotline. Call the hotline because we have eyes all over the city and you can help. Thank you.
All right. The story of Illinois is one that started many years ago when many organizations came together to build the infrastructure of support for people that have been being impacted by deportation and by raids all along the years. I want to welcome now Ere from the Resurrection Project to talk to us about some of the ways that the Resurrection Project has also been supporting and the MIDA Network.
Buenas tardes, Ere with the Resurrection Project, Ere Rendon with the Resurrection Project, also another proud Mexican immigrant. And I just have 2 messages. One is if you are a U.S. citizen, please visit our neighborhoods. Please go to our restaurants. Please do your grocery shopping at our grocery stores. We got really good produce, really good food. It is really important that we support our businesses, and it also keeps us safe the more U.S. citizens we have. And just a friendly reminder that the majority of Mexicans in the U.S. are U.S. citizens. The majority of Mexicans in the Southwest side are U.S. citizens. And we all have to exercise our rights. If you are asked what your status is, none of us have to answer. The second message is if somebody in your family is detained, you can visit the website or you can call the hotline, fill out our form.
Shout out to Vic for that $2. Appreciate you, big dog.
Let us know somebody was detained, and we're going to do our best to try to locate an attorney for you throughout our network. So please call the hotline if somebody is detained. Please take down their A number, their birthday, what country they were born in. Give us as much information as you can so that we can locate them and begin the process to try to find them an attorney. Thank you.
And lastly, I want to welcome Marisela Bautista from the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Marisela Bautista. I am with the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council and a proud member of the Actual Council with ICER. Today, I want to remind our community about the power of our family support network. When a call comes into our hotline, it activates our rapid responses team like we saw this morning. From there, trained community members who know exactly what to do are sent out to confirm whether there's an ICE sighting or not. We have at least 30 teams across the state.
At least 30 teams
at a moment's notice. But this only works if people are calling the hotline. We cannot respond if we do not know. And we know that this system works because today, thanks to one of those calls, a kidnapping was prevented only a few blocks away from here.
She called it a kidnapping.
The response team, alongside others, showed up today and ran ICE off. We keep our community safe. Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
So once again, please save this number in your phones, 855-435-7693. And finally, for those who are out in the streets and you see ICE or military agents in your community, we need your help too. If you see something, you too can be part of the resistance. We know that these agents do not follow the law, and the best defense for people is documentation. Your camera is a tool, and you have the right to film here in Illinois. Here are 6 things you need to know about how to document ICE or any other federal agents, okay? Number 1, stay at least an arm's length away from an officer. Number 2, film horizontally. Narrate what you're seeing as detailed as possible. Number 4, focus your filming on the agent's actions. As we know, sometimes and most of the time, they do not know and do the right thing, and we need to be able to capture that. Do not share your footage publicly without permission of the person being detained or their family. And again, once more, call the Family Support Network and talk to an operator about sharing your footage with them so we can pass it out to our network of lawyers. Remember, we keep us safe. And finally, at Brighton Park Neighborhood Council, along with other community organizations and other community members, are canvassing the area in different neighborhoods. We are passing out door handles similar to this with Know Your Rights. Make sure that you are reading them and you are staying educated and informing others. Thank you.
Yeah, so they got a whole strategy going, guys, against ICE.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the list of speakers for today. Can we hear a chant? Ni una más deportación. Ni una más deportación. Ni una más deportación. Ni una más deportación. Not one more deportation. Not one more deportation. Not one more deportation. Not one more deportation. Thank you. If there are questions by the press, please come find us. Otherwise, I just want to let you know that we will be continuing our work with many of the partners here and keep our eyes on the volume of calls and reports that we are receiving. And we will have more information about what is transpiring in our communities. So let's keep our eyes on ICE and on the National Guard and on every occupation. Thank you.
So we're listening in here
Whoa,
to
guys.
this rally that was held
So they
just
have a whole
yesterday
strategy
in Chicago
for dealing with ICE in
several
Chicago,
organizations
guys.
and people continuing to protest
Trump dropped off the
Trump
guards.
administration's
Operation Midway Blitz, guys.
over there in
Operation
Chicago, Illinois.
Midway
We do want to step
Blitz.
away for a quick commercial break, but on the other side, more of the day's top stories.
Yeah, this is crazy. Hold up. We ain't done.
Issuing a stay on the temporary
All right, so this is about the restrictions in Los Angeles. We're going to get to that in a second, guys. So what I'm going to do is we're going to wait on this one. Boom, we're going to go over here, to this other situation because Tom Homan spoke on the ICE raids in Midway Blitz of what's taking place in Chicago, guys. Let's go.
Take you out to the White House. Border Czar Tom Homan there speaking with reporters. Let's take you out to the very beginning as it just happened moments ago.
How does this change the operation on
National Guard, they're always on the table, right? But right now it's a surge of...
This is the border czar. This is the person in charge of these mass deportations, getting them together, getting the ICE agents together, sending them where they're going in order to crack down on these illegal immigrants. Tom Homan, man, y'all know he be very outspoken. He most definitely doesn't cut any corners. He gonna tell you exactly how it is and how him and Trump is feeling. about the whole situation, guys. I need y'all to get those likes up. We should have well over 200 likes. We done had almost 2,000 people in the building and only got 192 likes. Y'all double tap that screen. Get the likes up. What we doing? I'm bringing y'all the information in an unbiased way. I'm presenting both sides. You can't be mad. You might as well hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is what Trump and his team has to say about all of this that's going on with Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago.
Law enforcement officers. And look, the president was clear on that 2 months ago. He said he's going to prioritize enforcement in sanctuary cities, and we talked about that before. Why? Because we know we have a problem with sanctuary cities. We know for a fact they're releasing illegal aliens, public safety threats every day. So, like I said before, we don't have that problem in Florida, right? Where every sheriff and chief works with us. So where are we going to send additional assets? Sanctuary cities where we know it's a problem. And despite what Mayor Wu says, I got the data to back it up. We know how many criminal aliens are being released there. Look at the number of child predators we arrested, not just Boston, but outlying communities in Massachusetts. I mean, I spoke at the CPAC conference and I said, I just got done reading a total of 9 child predators released to the streets. So, you know, we have the data. They are a sanctuary city. That state's a sanctuary state. I know Governor Healy made a statement, why am I so infatuated with Massachusetts? I'm infatuated with every sanctuary city. We're going to send resources there. We're going to, if they don't want to help us to get out of the way.
They also are planning to launch a brand new operation called Operation Sanctuary Cities, guys. They're going to all these places, sending troops, sending ICE to all of these sanctuary cities, guys, you know, to show them that they ain't very sanctuary. You know, ICE gonna go and do what it wants, wherever it wants. I'm just saying.
We'll make your city safer for you.
President Trump said he's waiting for a call from Chicago. Does that mean he's waiting for local leaders to call him before sending in National Guard troops?
They've had plenty of chances to call. We're going to go ahead and do Operation Sanctuary City. I think the president's referring to
Operation what?
We're going to go ahead and do Operation Sanctuary City. I think the president's reaches a call. We're going to go ahead and do Operation Sanctuary City. I think the president's referring to it. I'm not familiar with that, but I think he wants to talk about what more can we do to make this more efficient and more meaningful. But if they don't want to come to the table and work with us, we're going to do it anyway. If they want to sit there and watch us make their city safer, then go ahead and watch.
The question you're talking right now is about immigration. What about...
The operation we're talking about right now is immigration, but we're still prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats. But I made this clear from the beginning. In Sanctuary City, if we can't get the bad guy into jail because they release him to the street, we're going to go to the street. We're going to find him. If he's with others, may not be a criminal threat, but they're illegal in the United States, they're coming too. I've made that clear for months.
Tom, your reaction to the Supreme Court's decision today.
Great decision.
What's that?
Great decision.
Great decision. So how will that affect your operations in LA?
We'll continue doing the operations the way we've been doing them. I mean, I said from day one, I think the ICE officers, Board of Relations, doing the right thing. Do you know ICE officers every 6 months get Fourth Amendment refresher training? Every 6 months, so they know the law around Fourth Amendment. Who can they arrest? Where they need to arrest? Where they need to seize? Where they need to detain for questioning? They get training all the time. And I said from day one, the judge who made that first ruling and stopped it, I don't know how she gets in the officers' heads. How does she know if the officers gathered reasonable suspicion? She don't know that. The officer does that. And despite what the media said, mischaracterized me or said, well, reasonable suspicion can be based on looks alone. I never said that. I said looks are one of many factors you have to consider. It's a multitude of factors to establish reasonable suspicion. But if an illegal alien has an MS-13 tattoo on his head, that's certainly going to be one of the factors that we consider when we add a bunch of factors together. It's a culmination of factors, not one factor, different factors.
And to Salina's point, I think what she was perhaps getting at is at one point the president was saying that we're going into Chicago. Last week he said he was waiting on the call to Chicago. Now you're saying we're definitely going in? Clarify that?
We're in Chicago. We've been in Chicago from day one. We've increased resources in Chicago. As far as a massive operation, we'll see what happens. But right now, we're in Chicago.
From the Supreme Court today said that apparent ethnicity is a relevant factor for reasonable suspicion for immigration detention stops. Is racial profiling justified?
There's no racial profiling.
are you encouraging your agents to racially profile individuals in this country as part of their immigration?
Of course I'm not. It's illegal. We're not racial profiling anybody. I just said
using race. You're not using race to justify.
I just said we have to establish reasonable suspicion. That's a legal framework.
So can you clarify what that looks like?
There's a myriad of factors. For instance, they say, well, ICE officers jumping out of vans in Home Depot. Were they there during the surveillance? Were they there when they were copping license plate numbers? Who's dropping them off and where they're going? Were they there when they're pulling intelligence reports on some of these employees? Were they there when they're running NCIC and III on these people? Were they there when they're listening to wires? Were they there during any investigation? No, but they've seen the culmination of this. They say, well, where's the reasonable suspicion? I trust the professionals of the board, ICE, all very well trained, to make sure they establish reasonable suspicion to briefly detain and question somebody, and the Supreme Court agreed on that.
On the Georgia raid, sir, on the Georgia raid, can you detail some of the allegations involved there? Were the workers there overstaying essentially B1 visas? Can you tell us anything more about what?
I'm not in the weeds on it. All I can tell you, I promise you from day one, we're going to increase worksite enforcement operations. That's exactly what we're doing.
Just to be crystal clear, Tom, when is the National Guard going into Chicago and Boston?
I didn't say they were. There'll be a decision that's made amongst those in that building, and we certainly probably won't give you a heads up it's happening. It's all these people need to understand this is dangerous stuff we're doing, and we're not going to give and broadcast what we're doing. But National Guard's always on the table. They helped us, immensely in D.C. They helped us immensely in
Are y'all agreeing with Tom Homan right now? Do he got any kind of point? Basically he's saying, hey, if y'all ain't gonna work with us, we're gonna do whatever we want to do. So you might as well work with us because we're gonna do it regardless.
Los Angeles. So they're always on the table. And as far as National Guard, they've helped every administration that I've been around since Ronald Reagan. They've helped every administration, whether it's mostly on the border, but a lot of 287G, a lot of National Guard been given 287G training, have 287G ability. But National Guard are always on the table. That's the president's call.
Is the president going to wait for a call for Chicago?
I can't comment on what the president's going to do.
Aren't you concerned that this is sending a wrong message to multinationals that are willing to invest in the United States?
You want to invest in the United States, you got to follow the laws like we do. Bottom line, we got laws on the books, obey the laws. Is it going to affect? I don't know. But I think the president made it clear on his tweet that, his message that, you're going to come to this country, do business, you need to be legally doing it.
Should we have a raid like the one we saw in Georgia?
Yes.
And where?
I said from day one we're going to increase worksite enforcement operations. I haven't hidden that. Where? I'm not where.
Involved in that investigation said that some of those detained were in fact U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. So what does that say to foreign companies that are operating?
First of all, I don't know that's even factual.
This is according to Stephen Trink, a special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigation.
When you do an operation that big, there are a lot of people, like a resident alien supposed to carry his resident alien card with. So people are detained briefly while we figure out, okay, exactly who are you and what right you had to be here. So yeah, people are detained briefly, but once we get the documentation and proof of who they are, they're released. So I guarantee they weren't detained very long. Once they found out who they were and had proper documentation, they're released. That happens in every law enforcement operation.
Have you found a lot of Africans among those who have been detained?
Of course, we detain people. I looked at the number. We detain people from 148 different countries.
Basically, they detain everybody, is what he's telling you.
Clear. When you're talking about when you're talking about ICE efforts within, for example, a Home Depot parking lot, can you clarify that each of those raids, those efforts there, that it is more than race that is justified for those?
I am not in the weeds. I'm not in the weeds on every arrest they make. I'm telling you what the standard is. These officers are trained in the standards, and I trust they're making the right decisions. And I think the Supreme Court agreed with me.
Can you highlight any more details about the president's idea about having more people come in to train workers on a temporary?
I'm not in the loop on that.
Can you highlight what other cities you guys are looking to?
Yeah, like Los Angeles, San Francisco.
Sanctuary cities.
What about Los Angeles?
I can't.
They are targeting the sanctuary cities right now, guys. Operation Midway Blitz was just the beginning.
Yeah, I'm not going to forecast of where we're doing operations. But I've been honest. Sanctuary cities are prioritized, so figuring out sanctuary cities, we all know who they are. They can see an increase in police enforcement in those cities.
What about in Republican states?
Are they sanctuary cities? Is there a crime issue there?
Yes.
The president's concerned about crime. If there's crime, I don't think he cares where it is. If there's a crime issue that he can help fix, he's going to fix it. As far as my concerns, the borders are, if it's a sanctuary city, I say it again, we know there's a problem there, and we want to focus attention on those bases. Anything else?
You say you've been on the ground in Chicago, so how are you exactly ramping up, or what can we expect to see in places like Chicago? You said you've been there.
More agents on the ground. Look, in Chicago, right after we came, President took office, the first place I went to was Chicago. And one day, I was there just one day, and one day we arrested, it was either 7 or 9 child predators. We arrested 9 members of TVA. We arrested gang members that were selling handguns with a switch installed, which makes those handguns fully automatic, selling them to other gang members. We arrested...
That is most definitely a problem in Chicago. They got a lot of gun violence, guys. Switches, all of that. Chicago is most definitely... I can't even lie. I don't even have a problem with them being in Chicago because they most definitely need somebody to step in and help them, man. For goodness sakes, they call the place Chirac. That's a mixture of Chicago and Iraq put together. Chirac for all the violence that goes on in Chicago, for real. What's up, Belinda?
2 illegal aliens that had a murder conviction walking the streets. So one day when I was there, we made Chicago that much safer. So that's why we're back there. You know, we're going to continue to go to these sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. And anybody that argues that aren't looking at the facts. ICE, look at the number of, ICE can supply you with every illegal alien, public safety threat they've arrested in these sanctuary cities. And we're going to continue to do that until the sanctuary cities, I'm not asking, you know, the mayors and the governors to be ICE officers. I'm not asking the local police department to be ICE officers. We're asking their cops to work with our cops to help us take public safety threats off the street and make their streets safer. Don't you think the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago, don't you think their #1 responsibility is protection of those communities and taking public safety threats out of there? I'm not saying every illegal alien is a public safety threat, but many are. So whatever that percentage is, help us get them out of the country and make that community safer. You're here in violation of law to begin.
Shout out to Belinda for being a member for the last 8 months. She said, Maher, glad to see you are back. Love everything news. Let's go. Shout out to you, Belinda, for the support.
As far as taking on the cartels, do you feel as though U.S. forces should be used against them, like what we're seeing in Latin America, moving F-35s down to Puerto Rico?
I support it. There's a reason the president designated them terrorist organizations. These cartels have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. They've killed more Americans than any war. So yeah, we're at war with the cartels, so I support President 100% what he's done.
Do you have concern about the impact of fear in heavily Latino communities by your actions?
If you're in the United States illegally, you got nothing to fear. If you're in the country illegally, that's not okay. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. It's not okay to enter the country illegally. It's a crime.
Do you fear the economic impact that it has?
I'm concerned about the millions of people standing in line, taking their tests, doing their background investigation, and paying their fees. They're sitting in the back seat while people cheated the system. People in the country illegally cheated. The millions of people the Biden administration released in the country that claim asylum. Look at the immigration court data. Nearly 9 out of 10 people who claim asylum at the border end up with an order removal because they don't qualify for asylum. They cheated the system. They're not escaping fear and persecution because of race, religion, political affiliation. They're coming in for a better life, and I get that. But while they're cheating the system, there are literally thousands of people in the world who really are escaping fear and persecution from their home government, and they're sitting in the back seat. There's it's a reason why we have a system of laws here. If you want to be part of the greatest nation on earth, the first thing you shouldn't do is violate our laws. Thanks, folks.
All right, so we've been, yeah, man, Tom Homan say he said what he said, and he meant what he said. You know what I'm saying? We ain't done yet. We still got more to go. All right, so let's go here. They're saying ever since basically ICE moved in to Chicago, the Dems that are in Chicago have been dead silent. You know, at first they were doing a lot of speaking. Now they ain't saying nothing. Let's see what they have to say about why. Shout out to Belinda for that 10-piece. She says they need to tell us the truth take responsibility. God bless us. Let's go.
Underway in Chicago. Operation Midway Blitz honors Katie Abraham, who was killed in a drunk drive and hit and run crash allegedly caused by an illegal immigrant. The crackdown will target criminal illegal migrants across Illinois. Katie's father, Joe Abraham, joins us now alongside Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thanks, Lawrence.
So I'm guessing they're saying that this operation Midway Blitz is in honor of this guy's daughter, man. You know what I'm saying? They have a reason for doing it. That's crazy. Wow. Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, and condolences to you for the death of your daughter. Mr. Abraham, I want to get your comments on what the governor of Illinois had to say about this. Once again, this isn't about fighting crime. That requires support and coordination, yet we've experienced nothing like that over the past several weeks. Instead of taking steps to work with us on public safety, the Trump administration focused on scaring Illinoisans. Well, your daughter was scared when she was senselessly killed, right?
Yeah, and it hurts me that I wasn't there to help her in any way. You know, it's tough to take anything our governor says right now. His silence on this matter, from our perspective, has been deafening. So when he talks about coordination and you know, it's a two-way street, right? You would think a leader of his state would also reach out and try to find some type of a midpoint, right?
I understand that people are passing away everywhere, but they're doing this operation in her honor. So it's only right that we present what's going on and the reason why it's going on. They're saying that this operation, Midway Blitz, is for this guy's daughter.
Maybe it's not National Guard in the street, but it's certainly not status quo. Is there not something he can do with the administration somewhere in the middle to help what's happening, not only in Chicago, but in his whole state?
Well, Director, he can start by honoring your detainers that you put on criminal aliens that are within the country, right?
Yeah, you want to 100% right, Lawrence. You know, the governor's been silent on this, to Joe's point, and that's what is deafening, right? Immigration and Customs Enforcement has always been in Chicago. The brave men and women of ICE have always been there trying to take these criminal aliens off the street. I think that's what the governor is missing. You know, I had the opportunity to sit with Joe and talk about Katie's life in June, and I wish more elected officials would talk to these angel parents, because this is what the men and women of ICE are doing every day. We're out there going getting these criminal illegal aliens that the state and local officials don't want to deal with, or they don't have the heart to deal with. We have to take these threats out of the streets so young people like Katie will be around to have a great and wonderful life.
Joe, what is your message to the leaders out there? Because they seem to just resist every effort. And we're just talking about the worst of the worst right now, the criminal aliens in this country illegally. What is your message to those that are resisting right now?
I would say show some leadership here. Leadership isn't saying, Donald Trump says this, so I'm going to do that. There's got to be a reasonable, rational midpoint here. Again, it doesn't have to be one extreme or the other, and you don't go to your corners. If that's leadership, we have no leadership then. I would expect that he would work with the administration to make our streets a little bit safer. So in that case, if that was happening, I would still have Katie with me. I don't. Right now, I have a life sentence, and that's where me and my family sit. And Katie has death. We have been separated. You know, I love the terms I keep hearing. Families are separated. Children are being taken, or parents are being taken. My daughter was taken. We are separated. I will never see her again. She got death. I got a life sentence.
And it's horrible. And Mr. Director, as a result of this, your men and women are being doxxed right now. What's going to happen? They're already in.
Wow, they're doxing the ICE agents, guys. Wow. You know, I thought there was something that just went on the internet, but they're basically putting out their information to the public, guys. That's crazy, man. Wow, man. This guy says a lot of people are talking about families being separated, but he was separated from his daughter due to the actions of an illegal immigrant. How y'all feeling about that, man? Is it an eye for an eye? Let me know.
Chicago. But when you send the surge of resources, how are we going to keep them safe so they can get justice for Katie?
You know, we're going to work with our federal partners, with the Department of Justice. We're going to make sure we hold those people accountable. But every day, the men and women of ICE and the other federal partners that are with us in Chicago, we honor Katie by going out there and getting these criminal aliens off the street. That's who we're out there fighting for every day. Fighting for parents like Joe, fighting for victims like Katie. We have to make sure that these criminal aliens are removed from our neighborhoods. And to Joe's point, we're not out there separating families. We're not out there arresting people trying to make a better life. We're out there arresting criminal aliens, known suspected terrorists, and gang members that are ruining our community. So the men and women of ICE are going to stay in Chicago, and we're going to stay in all the major cities across the United States to ensure that we remove this public safety threat from our neighborhoods.
Joe, what do you say to this administration, the president, the director, about keeping this promise?
Yeah, I met the director. It was they are great people. His staff were great folks, and to see some fringe elements just tear them down is really disheartening. It's very sad, and I would say that in this case, they need to do the good work they're doing because, again, the false choice isn't anybody and everybody, and it shouldn't be any shame in trying to understand who's entering the country, having some type of audit, some type of front-end process, so we don't have this situation on the back end. These are supposed leaders, prior administration, our current leaders here in Illinois, seem to feel that let anyone in, and if something happens, they'll get due process and adjudicated. In our case, that's very unfortunate because they could have been filtered out and Katie could still be alive.
It's so sad and it's so true. Joe, thank you for your courage. Mr. Director, you stay safe out there.
I'm Steve Ducey.
All right, so you heard it from the horse's mouth, man. That man said that his daughter was unalive due to an immigrant, so he has no problem with what's going on in Chicago, man. And Tom Homan is back once again to speak a little bit more. Let's see what he's talking about.
And
if you'll see, he said there would be 25 investigate. U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan warns of permanent ICE surge in Massachusetts. Like I told you, they're not just in L.A., they're just not in Chicago. They're in New York and as well as Massachusetts, guys. Let's go.
The Boston area, dubbed Patriot 2.0. What is this all about?
That's what I promised would happen, that we're going to flood the zone, the sanctuary cities, to target and arrest public safety.
Remember, Operation Sanctuary Cities. If you live in a sanctuary city, know that you are a target.
Safety threats and national security threats. I said months ago that's what we're going to do, and sanctuary cities want to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the communities, more works on enforcement because they don't honor retainers. They don't work with us, so they're going to release the public safety threats back into the community, and that's when we need to go find them.
So, how many people are you finding that have in fact been released? Did you have any data on that have, been in the hands of law enforcement locally, accused of terrible things, and then let back out into the community?
Yeah.
What's the numbers on that?
I don't have the exact number. ICE has the numbers. I'm made aware. I have frequent meetings with ICE. I'm aware of numerous criminal aliens released in the street. I mean, ICE said before the administration went back into place, I said that one day I looked at the numbers and 9 sexual predators were released in Boston and the surrounding areas, and majority of them were convicted of child sex crimes. That happens all the time.
Let me most definitely take time to say we exercised the Fair Use Act of 1976. These videos are used for educational purposes only, as well as news reporting, man. Yeah, this is crazy, man. Tom Homan on the situations going on with the mass deportation.
In Massachusetts, even though the governor wants to say she's not a sanctuary state, the data proves her wrong. Mayor of Boston says that, she testified in front of Congress that Tom Homan's the one lying. Well, I got the data to prove it, and I got the cases to prove it. And so we're going to go and do what we promised to do. We're going to continue arresting public safety threats that law enforcement in Massachusetts released to the streets rather than working with us.
The governor said in an appearance over the weekend that this is not about public safety, this is about intimidation.
Well, she's wrong. This is about public safety. And if she cared about public safety, she'd work with us. If she cared about public safety, she would have passed a law in Massachusetts that, counties in that state adhere to ICE detainers. And look, we're not asking them to be immigration officers. We're asking them, when you receive a detainer from the federal government, we have probable cause of illegal aliens in your custody. When you're done with them, call us. You don't have to hold them 5 minutes longer than you would normally hold them. Just call us before you release them, and let's be there to get them.
I don't know what happened to all the homeless in D.C. Clicking the view. Your guess is as good as mine. Let me know what you think.
There'd be no doubt if she did that, but she don't want to do that because she supports sanctuary cities. She proves that by her lack of action to work with ICE to remove public safety threats from her communities. And I would think, as a governor and as a mayor of Boston, you would think they'd be shoulder to shoulder with us to remove public safety threats that are illegally in this country from their communities.
But aren't you working increasingly with more and more local Massachusetts departments?
We're trying, but bottom line is there's still a problem in Massachusetts, and the data at ICE proves it. And you want some statistics from ICE, you have to reach out to them and get the case by case. The acting director of ICE, Todd Lyons, was the field office director in Boston. And he knows that city and that state better than anybody. And he agrees with me. It has to be a main focus of our enforcement operations because of the criminal threat in that state.
Can you talk numbers around this surge? How many more agents are on the street and effectively when they moved in?
I can't give you numbers. That's law enforcement sensitive. But I can tell you there's going to be a vast increase in the number of enforcement personnel in Massachusetts. I said clearly this weekend on numerous shows that, we're going to take these additional assets we have from places like Florida and Texas where we don't have that problem, right? Every sheriff and chief is working with us in Florida. We don't have that problem. So we'll take available assets in these states that are cooperating with us and send them to places like Boston, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. It's kind of like sending the firemen to the biggest fire. We're going to send our agents to our biggest problems, and that's sanctuary cities. We know there's a problem there, right? Because we know public safety threats are being released every day. So we're going to send our folks where they can do the best good.
But what about, I asked you about this when we spoke a couple of months ago, and just this whole idea of due process, where you know that there are people that are getting arrested and basically deported before there is any appearance before a judge. Is that the goal here? To strip people of this process?
No one's being stripped of due process. Who's being stripped of due process? There are different aliens are in different circumstances. When you have an expedited removal case, federal law says that's done by an ICE officer. If you have someone claiming asylum,
what's up,
of course, have rights to see a judge. So due process means different things to different aliens depending on the different situations they're in. But no one's being robbed of due process. The only ones being robbed of due process are victims of illegal alien crime. They don't get the due process. They're burying their children or have to deal with violent gangs that attack them and their families. They get no due process. So I can tell you, every illegal alien we arrest has some form of due process depending on who they are and what the specifics of that case is.
But we know that process can be delayed. We have spoken to a woman recently, I don't know if you've seen any of the reporting, who had legal status here. She was a longtime green card holder, and without getting too much into it, she was detained at the airport for days and had no idea why she was being held, was ultimately released after about 10 days, but never saw a judge, never even got the charges before her.
Well, first of all, I don't know the specifics of that case, but I tell you, a lot of people enter the country. I can't get into the specifics. There's a lot of law enforcement sensitive information that are found in numerous databases we check. We don't know what her situation is. Was her intelligence report somehow she's affiliated with something? I don't know that case, but I can tell you that, yeah, even resident aliens are detained based on criminal data or some intelligence data that they need to be interviewed, detained while they run something down. And that happens to U.S. citizens all the time. So I don't know specifics of that case. If you can send me that case, I'll certainly look into it and get back to you.
I will. I'll send you a series of stories we did on it. I would love to get your feedback. I have sent them to members of your team. And, just again, I know that you talked about collaterals and people are going to get caught up in some sweeps potentially that maybe don't have a criminal record. The numbers are out there that the vast majority of people being detained don't have a criminal record.
Wrong.
So the majority of people detained are criminals.
Faye, we're talking about the mass deportation situation that's going on in sanctuary cities across America right now. Trump has basically declared battle against the sanctuary cities, and he's sending National Guard troops to all of them. Ever since the Supreme Court listed what is it called? Ever since the Supreme Court basically lifted a restriction from them doing so. So now they are going to all sanctuary cities and removing illegal immigrants. Yeah, and it's causing a lot of ruckus about what they're doing.
I look at the numbers every morning, and about 70% of everybody ICE arrests is a criminal. Now, a lot of the media says, well, they're not criminal enough. It's only DUI. Over 10,000 people
you, Michael.
DUI. I think that's a significant public safety threat. So a vast majority of people we arrest are criminal, about 70%. Who are the other 30%? So let's talk about those non-criminals. A lot of them are national security threats, like the several thousand Iranian nationals we arrested. Most national security threats don't have a criminal history because they lay low until they want to do something, their dirty deed, right? A lot of them are.
But what about the collaterals then? What about the folks that are here without papers, and that in and of itself is what you're holding them for? Are those the people you still want to target, and is it just now about hitting quotas?
We don't target them. We target national security and public safety threats. However, there are a few.
Well, are those the people that you want to detain? In other words, is there any discretion here with your officers or agents? Is there any discretion if they say there is no record here? We want to maybe expedite a court hearing, but they can be not in a jail cell.
If you're in the country illegally, that's not okay. They're in the country illegally in violation of law. They enter the country illegally, which is a violation of criminal law. It's a crime to enter the country illegally. And we're not targeting the non-criminal, we're targeting public safety threats and national security threats. However, if we find an illegal alien that's not a public safety threat, and it doesn't have a criminal history, it may not be a national security threat, we find them during our operations, they're absolutely going to be arrested. Because they're in the country illegally, and that's not okay. If the message we send to the whole world is, if you're in the country illegally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it. If you get order removed,
if you're in the building and haven't hit that like button, click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, or simply double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device. Don't forget to sub to the channel, man. Right now we're talking about the mass deportation situation that's taking place in America right now.
Don't worry about it. If that's the message we send, you're going to enter the country illegally. As long as you don't commit another crime, no one's looking for you. If that's the message we send the whole world, this is never going to change. So it's a violation of criminal law into this country illegally, and we're going to force immigration law. There's nothing in the immigration law that says you have to be convicted of yet another crime to be arrested and deported. The problem here is, in the last 4 years of Joe Biden, they didn't enforce the immigration law. Secretary Mayorkas gave instructions to ICE, and I've seen it, that says you can't arrest somebody for simply being here illegally. They got to be convicted of a serious crime. Mayorkas rewrote federal statute, and he doesn't have the authority to do that. So if you want the number of collateral arrests to decrease, then let us in the jail. The more officers in the jail, the less officers in the community. The more officers in jail, the less people being released to the community. That forces us to go in the community and find them. And I guarantee you, most of the time we find that person we're looking for, the criminal target, they're with others. And we're not turning a blind eye to them.
How long do you expect this second surge to last?
Permanently.
Permanently.
We're going to increase resources in sanctuary cities. We've already started. And as we bring this 10,000 more agents on, we're going to continue assigning to our most problem areas, which are sanctuary cities. sanctuary states.
So based on policy, not necessarily based on crime data.
No. See, you're wrong. It's based on crime data. I'm telling you, we're going to send them to places where the data shows they're a sanctuary city. If they're a sanctuary city and they cooperate with us and give us every criminal out of the jail, of course we're going to reduce the number of officers there and send them to allow us into the jail. It doesn't honor detainers. And as long as that's continuing in that city, we'll continue upping resources in that facility. But if they work with us, they'll lose the moniker of sanctuary city. That's what I'm hoping happens. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. Bottom line. And you know, the left will tell you, well, we're a sanctuary city because we want illegal aliens, victims and witnesses of crime to feel comfortable coming to the police for help without fear of being worked with ICE. That's a bunch of crap. Because victims and
I mean, I hear this in police officers that work
of crap.
Victims and this is common sense. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy back in the neighborhood either. We're not interested in the victims and witnesses. Matter of fact, if we were aware of the victims, they might actually get a visa as a victim of a crime. We can do that for them. But we're not looking to talk to the victim witness. We want to talk to the person that law enforcement locked in a jail cell. Apparently, they locked him in a jail cell for their threat to public safety. That's why he's locked up. That's the person we want to talk to. But victims and witnesses of crime, the only reason they're scared because the left tries to steal the narrative that ICE is out there separating families, arresting every alien they find, and they push that narrative. What they need to say, victim witnesses of crime, is you're going to report a crime.
But sir, on the same hand, you just said you would arrest anyone that was illegally, whether they were.
Let me finish. Victims and witnesses of crime need to be told by law enforcement, you are free to be a victim witness of crime reporter. We're not going to turn you over to ICE. ICE only wants access to the person who committed the offense, but they won't do that.
Now so don't get hostile, sir.
Need to be educated. They're welcome to report it, and ICE isn't interested in talking to them or looking for them to arresting them. They want the person in the jail cell. That's what we want. So if the community and the open borders advocates will simply be honest with victims and witnesses of crime, you are welcome to report it without fear of ICE. That will solve that problem. But they use that as a tool to continue attacking ICE or law enforcement officers and what they do. And what's surprising to me, I've done this since 1984. ICE is doing the same thing they've done for decades. But because of the last 4 years, the administration chose not to enforce immigration law, all of a sudden everybody's in shock. We're doing exactly what Congress tells us to do, appropriates us funding to do. If folks in Massachusetts don't like if Governor Healy doesn't like what ICE is doing, then go to Congress and tell them to change the law. Until then, we're going to enforce the law without apology.
Border Czar Tom Homan, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Tom got upset, y'all. Tom was mad about that. He didn't like that. He said, yeah, thank you. He was ready to get up out of there. But anyway, y'all, all right, hold on. Let me get this right. Hold up. All right. So a lot of this is stemming from what went on with Congress, guys. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this stems from what's going on with the Supreme Court. And they lifted restrictions on federal immigration enforcement, guys. Let's see exactly what they did.
News, a victory for the Trump administration after the Supreme Court ruled that immigration agents may stop and detain anyone they suspect is in the U.S. illegally. The decision lifts those restrictions on tactics used during immigration enforcement operations. NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us here in studio. And so, Conan, let's talk about what this now means for the immigrant community.
Well, it's a victory for the Trump administration, and those restrictions that were essentially enabled by a judge here in Southern California have been essentially overturned. Now, what is at issue here is what constitutes reasonable suspicion that someone may be in the country illegally. And in a move that was somewhat surprising today, the High Court issued an emergency order that halts the restrictions that had been imposed by a federal judge on ICE raids here in Southern California.
The 6-3 vote of the U.S. Supreme Court is a victory for the Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security. The High Court's conservative majority, at least temporarily, removing restrictions that had been placed on immigration and customs enforcement officers in the 7 counties of Southern California. LA-based federal judge Mame Frimpong had kept ICE agents from using factors such as race, language, where they are working, or what they are doing in formulating probable suspicion that someone may be in the country illegally. The judge said such considerations alone or together violated the Constitution's Fourth Amendment restriction on unreasonable searches and seizures. But a majority of the U.S. Supreme Court disagreed enough that today they stayed that court order, allowing ICE to operate as they had done in the past. Jessica Levinson is with Loyola Law School.
I think the Supreme Court's decision today gives the ability and authority for ICE agents to go to car washes and construction sites and look at the color of people's skin or their ethnicity, whether or not they're speaking Spanish or speaking in an accent, and to at least have a conversation about that person's immigration status. I don't think you can look at this as anything other than a win for the executive branch, a win for the Trump administration, a win for ICE agents who are saying, how else are we to enforce immigration law?
The opinion, Brett Kavanaugh, one of the Supreme Court justices who signed the majority, indicated that the number of undocumented immigrants in Southern California is, in his words, extraordinary, and that it should be a surprise that immigration agents are conducting enforcement actions in this region. The three liberal justices strongly dissented. Justice Sotomayor, in her dissent, says we should not live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work in a low-wage job. We also got a response from the mayor of L.A. I want the entire nation to hear me when I say this isn't just an attack on the people of L.A. This is an attack on every person in every city in this country. Today's ruling is not only dangerous, it's un-American and threatens the fabric of personal freedom in the United States of America.
So we're hearing these statements. What happens next, though?
Well, keep in mind, this is an emergency order. It does not refer to the points and authorities, the main argument over what this judge was saying. That could come back, and you have a whole hearing, and they go over, whether or not the merits of this decision is accurate or not. The fact, though, that they voted to stay the execution of this court order indicates they pretty much believe Donald Trump will win. And the administration will win when it comes to the full court. So what it means now is that LA is now being treated the same way as the rest of the country, which is they can take all sorts of things into consideration. It's not probable cause. We're not going to arrest you, but we can go to a car wash because we have research to show that a lot of undocumented people work at car washes, and if we believe somebody is possibly here illegally, I can talk to you and perhaps detain you until we find out whether or not you should be deported.
So then what is the recommendation for those who are American citizens, let's say, and they are racially being profiled? Is there concern for them? Because a lot of them
true. I'll tell you one thing that everybody should do, whether you're here illegally or not, is not run. Because as soon as you run, that's an evidence of guilt, and that gives them reasonable suspicion to arrest you or detain you. So again, there are a number of strategies. Immigration rights groups have been talking about that, whether or not you can cooperate. You don't necessarily have to cooperate with an immigration agent. You're not forced to do anything. The fact, though, is that they are no longer bound to stay away from construction sites, car washes, and those kind of places in order to seek people who they believe here are illegal or undocumented.
All right. Conan Nolan, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, don't leave that out. They can go pretty much anywhere, guys. This is crazy, man. The Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Bass spoke out about this whole situation, too, because this directly affects places like L.A. as well. Let's see what Mayor Bass had to say about all this.
From Fox, I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks again for joining us today on this Monday.
Dang, he was talking fast.
Evening. I want to show you the very latest coming from Los Angeles. Big news coming from the Supreme Court today as it lifted restrictions on Los Angeles immigration stops, clearing the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations. We want to go out right now to LA. That's where we find Rachel Aragon, Fox 11 Los Angeles, with how the community is reacting.
Yeah, earlier today, several top LA officials, in fact, also standing outside this Home Depot here in Westlake, LA. We also know this exact store, one of a handful of Home Depots targeted over the last few months by federal agents. But now with this new Supreme Court ruling, the concern, though, by many in the community that these raids will continue and prompt more fear.
will not allow the Supreme Court or anyone to divide us.
Outrage and a promise to fight back. The message from LA Mayor Karen Bass after the country's highest court's decision allowing federal agents to continue sweeping immigration operations in Los Angeles using race or language as a basis to stop people.
Law enforcement cannot racially profile and discriminate against Latinos, against Angelenos based on their race.
From Home Depots to car washes, over the last 3 months, the federal immigration raids in the LA area have made some fearful to continue or find work.
Approximately 247 car wash workers have disappeared from our communities. This is just unacceptable.
It's a daily fear in our community. People aren't going to church, aren't going to work in many cases.
Ron Gochez, a community organizer and teacher in South Los Angeles, says after Monday's ruling, he plans to continue conducting community patrols.
What we try to do is we try to locate ICE activity before they strike so that we can warn our community so they have a chance to defend themselves.
In a social media post, the Department of Homeland Security calling the Supreme Court's decision a victory, adding DHS will continue to arrest and remove the criminal illegal aliens that the mayor of LA is protecting. But top city leaders say they're not backing down despite Monday's decision.
From the beginning, we have known that Los Angeles has been used as a test case for total dominance and unchecked power by the federal government.
And in response to all of this, Mayor Bass also adding today during that press conference that she's taken several steps to combat this, including filing a Freedom of Information request to really get answers as to the federal government why and where people are being taken away. Live in Westlake, Rachel Aragon, back to you.
Rachel, thanks so much for those updates. We will see if that goes to other cities as well, like Chicago, with the blitz that we saw just unveiled today by HHS. All right, let's continue on in LA and show you just a little bit more from that in-demand news conference that happened a little bit ago.
Thanks so much for having us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Council District 1. Welcome to West.
This is LA, guys. We watched Chicago. Now we're watching LA.
Lake. Today's Supreme Court ruling is another devastating attack on civil rights and constitutionality. 6 justices have given immigration agents the green light to racially profile and terrorize our communities with roving patrols that snatch people off the streets based on nothing more than how they look, like my brown skin, or where they work, like this day labor center here, or which language they speak, which I speak Spanish as well. They're coming for people that look like me. You are sitting on the ground where literally our people were tripped and trampled and beat up by these people. Tear gas was used right behind you. Rubber bullets, pepper bullets were used in this area. But it's a place of community as well, of resilience, of resisting what is happening. We all swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. And that means calling this decision what it is. It is unlawful. We
need 30 more likes, guys. Double tap that screen. We need 30 more likes. Double tap that screen. If you have not clicked those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, man. Hit the like button.
A Supreme Court in this country that was supposed to set the rule of the land, but this is a court that has been bought off, where people have been appointed that have harmed so many people in their past, and now what they're doing is just harming more people as Supreme Court justices, and that is disgusting. That is devastating, because we are a country that's supposed to have 3 branches of government, checks and balances. There is no more checks and balances, and that's what happens in authoritarian government. These raids have completely shattered public trust in government, and it's devastating. They have kidnapped workers trying to make an honest living, torn parents away from their kids, and terrorize our elders. This isn't about making America great again. Over 70% of the people ICE has in custody have no criminal records. It's never been about criminals. It's never been about people who have anything on their records. It's been about who they don't want to see in this country anymore. And they're starting with Latinos, and they will be coming for others. Recognize that. They're already taking citizens. It doesn't matter. Wake up. If they really care cared about safety, they wouldn't be slashing funding for the programs that actually keep us safe, like violence prevention, housing, healthcare, addiction treatment, gun safety, youth programs, all of that. They cut. They cut safety at its roots and then call immigrants the threat. When literally California is the 4th largest economy in the world, not by accident, but because of the contributions of our immigrant communities. And we got here because of immigrant labor. They are literally our teachers, our farmers, our doctors. You look at any industry and you will encounter someone who's an immigrant or the daughter or children of immigrants like myself. My office, and let me take a step back. To target them is to target the economy of the entire country. You don't get to profit off of our labor and then criminalize our existence. My office will continue fighting for policies that protect our immigrant neighbors. We will continue to stand with Cheer Them, with Garesen, with Salif, with the workers and families, and make it clear, immigrants are the backbone of this country, not the enemy. And we're here to throw down with them, and I'm so excited to see also Andelon and others leading in this space, and they have for decades. And I'm here just to say, we're with you, and we'll fight alongside you to make sure we can keep our families together. And media, yes, thank you so much for being here and telling these stories, because when the raids were happening earlier this year, they were saying Los Angeles is on fire, when we knew that it was only a couple of blocks away. But that type of narrative is what allows for more unconstitutional acts to take place. So thank you for being here and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Council Member. So before we hear from the lawyers in this case, it's our deep honor to be joined by the leader of our city, who has been a partner in this litigation, Mayor Karen Bass.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First of all, let me thank the ACLU, Public Council, CHIRLA, and all of the community organizations that are here. I am very proud to stand with you, and we are so fortunate in our city to have these organizations that have a long history of defending immigrant Angelenos. Today, the Supreme Court, the very body.
Mayor Karen Bass of LA speaking out about what's going on with this mass deportation situation and the Supreme Court's ruling that specifically affects Los Angeles.
That used to advance civil rights and defend personal liberties has now given the green light for law enforcement to profile and detain Angelenos based on their race. I want the entire nation to hear me when I say this isn't just an attack on the people of Los Angeles. This is an attack on every person in this city and in every city in our country. Justice Sotomayor said it best in her dissent. She wrote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work in a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent." And I agree with her, I dissent. We all dissent. Because from the beginning, we have known that Los Angeles has been used as a test case for total dominance and unchecked power by the federal government. We have been used as a test case to begin to normalize military intervention and takeover of our cities. And standing united, we took their unlawful and unconstitutional tactics to court, and we won, not once, but twice. Two different courts ruled in our favor of the people and our immigrant population, that law enforcement cannot racially profile and discriminate against Latinos, against Angelenos based on their race. The rule of law used to mean something, not just to us, but to the Supreme Court. But now, with the stroke of a pen, the Supreme Court has undermined the rights of millions. And how ironic is it that this same Supreme Court that ruled colleges cannot use race in the admissions process has now ruled that law enforcement can use race to conduct raids and detain people. Will that same Supreme Court next decide that it's okay if we are separate but equal, that some can marry but others can't, that rights apply to some groups and not to others, that they will ignore precedent and do whatever the White House wishes? Unfortunately, Unfortunately, we knew we could not rely on the Supreme Court to deliver justice. I have already directed all city departments to bolster protocols and training in compliance with the city's law prohibiting the use of resources in immigration enforcement. I've also submitted a Freedom of Information Act requesting the federal government provide exactly where people are being taken and why. We know that this is simply un-American, but as enraging as the news is for many Angelenos and people across the country, let me make this very clear for the press and to our country that we will not allow the Supreme Court or anyone to divide us. We will not, and we will not participate in these cruel, inhumane tactics. And to all Angelenos, I will never stop fighting for your rights. I will always stand in solidarity and support of all of the organizations here that represent our people. Thank you, and let me just say, we will bring justice to this issue, to our community. We will not stand for this type of discrimination and racism. Thank you.
Yeah.
And once again, that was the Los Angeles mayor there, Karen Bass, at that afternoon rally. And she put this on X as well, saying, "Let me be clear, we will not allow the White House nor the Supreme Court to divide us. To all Angelenos, I will never stop fighting for your rights, your dignity, and your safety, despite this administration's efforts to threaten them. We will stand united."
Yeah, so as we heard from Chicago, now we're hearing from LA following this Supreme Court's ruling, man. You know, it says California leaders denounce Supreme Court decision on LA immigration enforcement. Let's hear what they had to say, guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Assemblymember Juan Carrillo. I want to thank you for being here today, joining us this afternoon with the terrible news that we received this morning from the Supreme Court, and essentially just gave into what we've experienced in LA with the fear that our communities will now continue to be snatched off the streets just because of the color of my skin and my accent. That is the reason why we decided to have this press conference here, so that we all can show our unity on the terrible news that are happening around our nation, particularly in California and Los Angeles. And with that, I'd like to introduce Assemblymember Liz Ortega, Vice Chair, Northern California, the Latino Caucus.
Good afternoon. Thank you to our Vice Chair, Juan Carrillo, and our Chair, Senator Lina Gonzalez, and all of our colleagues for coming together very quickly as we got word of Donald Trump's Supreme Court judges who just made it legal for masked men to snatch innocent people off the streets. Moms and dads on their way to work who are ending up losing their children. Trump's war on immigrants was never about safety. This confirms it. It was always about racism and intimidating.
Oh, wow. They
workers.
say it's about racism.
Like
Lord,
many others in the state of California, I came to this country when I was 3 years old. And my parents didn't just come here in search of the American dream. They came here to contribute to it. And they have. And they were given a path to citizenship and honor this country like no other. But today, once again, we have been shown what Donald Trump and his Supreme Court have had in mind this entire time. With that, I will pass it over to Assemblymember Al Marisucci.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Ortega. I'm Al Marisucci, Assembly Member from the Los Angeles County, and I'm here to absolutely condemn the United States Supreme Court from allowing the racial profiling to target our immigrant communities. You know, as the only Japanese American in the California legislature, the last time that the United States government engaged in this kind of racial profiling was 80 years ago, when they went after Japanese Americans, incarcerated over 125,000 Japanese Americans solely based on their race. We should have learned those lessons, and yet we're seeing this playing out again. This is not acceptable. We are fighting back here to protect all of our immigrant communities. I have a bill, Assembly Bill 49, the California Safe Haven Schools Act. Now is all the more important for us to protect our immigrant students, our immigrant families, to provide them safe havens, not only in our schools, but to stop this racial profiling.
And with that, we'd like to hear from Assemblymember Mike Fong.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carrillo, and proud to join all my colleagues up here today in solidarity to denounce the ruling from the highest court in the country. The ruling that allows mass federal agents to racially profile our communities. To racially profile.
Correction, my bad. I said Los Angeles. This is California denouncing the Supreme Court's ruling.
California's Angelinos with no due process, to kidnap them off the streets with no evidence and warrant, and to take them away with no explanation. This is un-American. This is unjust, and the API Legislative Caucus stands in strong solidarity with all my colleagues up here today in denouncing these rulings. And to my colleagues, Assemblymember Murasucci, Assemblymember Caloza, Assemblymember Patel, and to the rest of my colleagues, we stand in strong solidarity to continue to embrace and uplift our diverse immigrant communities in these very challenging times. As you heard from my colleagues, the action today is unjust, it's unlawful, it's not law enforcement, it's lawlessness, and the Supreme Court is allowing this to continue. I implore the administration to stop the raids. The API Legislative Caucus stands with immigrants across California, affirming that every family deserves to live in dignity, in safe and welcoming surroundings. We will continue to amplify and uplift the most vulnerable in our communities and protect the values that define our state of California. Thank you so much. With that, I'd like to introduce Senator Cervantes, Chair of the LGBTQ Caucus.
Thank you for joining us today and standing in solidarity with our immigrant neighbors who are once again being targeted by the Trump administration. I am Senator Sabrina Cervantes, Vice Chair of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus and State Senator for the 31st Senate District in Riverside County. Today, we are faced with yet another dangerous and unjust decision from the highest in the land. The MAGA majority Supreme Court ruling, which effectively empowers ICE agents to carry out unchecked raids in our communities, is an attack on families, on human dignity, and on the very essence of justice. This ruling, this intentional decision, is not just about immigration policy. Let's be clear. This is not just about immigration policy. Instead, this ruling invites racial profiling and creates a system where communities of color are targeted for simply existing in public spaces. Every day, when folks are walking down the street, picking up your kids, or going to work, now carries the threat of detention. We've seen before when people of color are treated as if they don't belong in their own neighborhoods. This decision opens a door for ICE to stop, frisk, and detain without cause, just because of how someone looks, speaks, or where they happen to be in that moment. This sets a dangerous precedent that threatens the fundamental freedoms of millions of people, which is not only a travesty, truly a stain. And these raids don't make us safer, especially when we know many of those rounded up have no criminal record. These raids create fear, they create distrust, and silence communities who are now even more afraid to report crimes, seek help, and live freely. Even worse, there are reports of people pretending to be ICE agents to round up and attack women and girls. That is not safety. That is state-sanctioned cruelty. To the families affected by this ruling, we see you, we stand with you, and we will fight for you. I call on my colleagues in our communities surrounding throughout California and the nation to act now. Our schools, hospitals, places of worship, and neighborhoods must be safe from the reach of ICE. Public spaces should not be a place of fear. We will not be silenced. We will not back down, and we will fight until no one is targeted for simply existing. Thank you for the Latino Legislative Caucus for your leadership and for every diversity caucus standing in solidarity. I'd like to call up our Assembly colleague, also another member of the LGBTQ caucus, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez.
They most definitely say this is racist base. What y'all think about that? This is California, guys.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you to our chairs of our coalitions and our other caucuses here in the state. My name is Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, and I represent the 54th Assembly District, the heart of downtown Los Angeles and surrounding communities. I, along with Senator Durazo, we represent a proud, vibrant community that has been under assault by both ICE and this racist federal administration. From every corner, at every crossroads that makes Los Angeles what it truly is. Since June 6, just 94 days ago, this administration has unleashed coordinated military-style immigration raids targeting families, workers, and even U.S. citizens based solely on the color of their skin or the language that they speak. They are roaming our streets with rifles and armored vehicles, turning our neighborhoods into complete and utter war zones. We've seen unidentified masked agents storm hospitals, car washes, even immigration courts, targeting those showing up for appointments, abiding by the law. We've seen them chase down day laborers outside of Home Depots and abducting parents while children are in our streets just simply trying to go to school. Grocery stores, dialysis appointments. Imagine families being ripped apart, all for political play by this administration. And now the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has chosen to side with Trump and his enforcers. And this court has greenlit government-sanctioned oppression. They have authorized a race-based manhunt. If you have brown skin, if you speak another language, you can now be abducted and deported by secret police. No questions, no due process, all completely gone. All of the rights that have created the foundation of this country, making Latinos who've made this country the fourth largest economy in the world. What happened to the Equal Protection Clause? Our Constitution says clearly, no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Today, the Supreme Court stamped that promise with an asterisk, unless you are brown. This is a betrayal of the Constitution, a betrayal of our values, and a betrayal of the people and everybody that you see here behind me and the folks that we represent every single day. The United States has entered a darker chapter where the guardrails of democracy have completely crumbled, and the rights of millions are left to the whims of one man and his racist ideology. We refuse to sit silent. We know that we represent our community. This is our home. This is our neighborhood. These are our people. These are our gente. We will all fight for everything that we have to protect them and protect their identity, their dignity, and to protect the promise of justice for everyone who calls California home. And I'd like to invite up Gail Pellerin, representing the Jewish Caucus.
Thank you all for being here today. The Jewish Caucus stands with our Latino Caucus and other diversity caucuses to oppose the Supreme Court's ruling allowing the continued use of ICE raids in our communities. This decision undermines the safety and dignity of immigrant families who contribute every day to the strength of California and our nation. As Jews, we know all too well the pain of persecution, displacement, and the fear of government-sanctioned targeting. Our tradition calls on us to welcome the stranger and to pursue justice. ICE raids, often carried out with no regard to due process, family stability, or basic human rights, violate these core values and perpetuate cycles of trauma and fear. This ruling is not only a legal setback, but also a moral failing. It will embolden practices that tear families apart, destabilize neighborhoods, and deepen mistrust between our immigrant communities and our government institutions. California must continue to stand as a beacon of compassion and fairness, pushing back against policies that criminalize and dehumanize our neighbors. The Jewish Caucus reaffirms our commitment to fighting for humane immigration policies that honor the dignity of every person and keep families together. I'd now like to bring up our Majority Floor Leader, Chair of our Women's Caucus, Assemblymember Cecilia Aguilar. Oh, Maggie, okay, Maggie, okay.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Maggie Krell. I represent Sacramento Assembly District 6. I rise in solidarity with my colleagues on behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus. Today's Supreme Court ruling is disturbing. I will first talk about the way it was done, and then I'll talk about the merits of it. In terms of the way it was done on the shadow docket. That means that there wasn't full briefing, there wasn't oral argument, there wasn't a chance for amicus briefs, and there wasn't pre-meetings between the justices to discuss it. In other words, it was a fast ruling without due process. The litigants did not get their full day in court before the Supreme Court decided, or a majority of the Supreme Court decided, that roving patrols in California can continue. These roving patrols are racist. Los Angeles is a long way from the border. And the Home Depot in South Sacramento, that's even further. What's happening right now upends our entire Constitution. People are being stopped without probable cause, without reasonable suspicion, without articulable facts other than the color of their skin. It's wrong. And I stand in solidarity with my colleagues in calling it out.
Oh yeah, she was big mad.
Next, I'd like to call Assemblymember Mike Gibson.
Yeah, she was big mad.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon. Mike Gibson, representing the 65th Assembly District, but also standing in strong solidarity with the Legislative Black Caucus, standing in solidarity with the Latino Caucus and all the different diversity caucus that makes up the California State Assembly. The ruling is wrong, plain and simple. We denounced the Supreme Court for a backroom deal that was made merely and purely on behalf of the President of the United States of America. This reminds me of what happened to Black people during the 60s and the 50s. Walking down the street while Black, being kidnapped, being lynched in trees. And we saw what that happened. It's chronicled in our books and in the very fabric of this United States of America.
So California is most definitely pushing the racist narrative when it comes to this situation with the Supreme Court. This is crazy.
It was revealed also in a book called Project 2025. We stand in solidarity to push back on this administration, to have what has taken place in third world countries, where individuals jumping out of vehicles with masks on and kidnapping individuals. It's wrong in those third world countries, and it's wrong in the United States of America. We stand in strong solidarity. We will do everything that we can within our powers in California to push back against these kinds of attacks against people just because of the color of their skin. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And to this president who called himself, this is a convicted felon. Let's call it out.
Woo!
And how dare he attack the very fabric of what makes California great. Our immigrant community is what makes up America, what makes up California, and what makes up the greatness of this
county in Los Angeles. The Supreme Court decision, of course, we've already heard, is not only alarming, it's abusive. And I stand and we stand with Justice Sotomayor, and we dissent. But it's also heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because of the terrorizing that we've already seen. This is the summer of raids. It's the summer of terror. It's the summer of families being torn apart. It's the summer that a thriving economy has been attacked, where vibrant communities have quieted. And we should all be outraged, not just Latino community members, but all of us. We should all be afraid. Because for those of you who think it's only them, and for those of you who think it's only there, it is everywhere. And for those of us who are in suits today, yes, maybe we won't be pulled into a car, but we could be if we change our clothes, if we change where we're walking. And for any of you who think that, oh, it's not me because I stand with this group, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. And if you have a passport or you have a green card or a birth certificate, guess what? They're not accepting that. They're still jailing people. So we should all not only be outraged, but terrified. But I'm proud to stand with this caucus and the diversity caucuses to say we will do everything here in California to stay strong, to continue to rage about what is happening, but to also do everything we can with our legislative processes. And as we head into the last week of session, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from our Republican colleagues who say, oh, stand on love or whatever it is they talk about, because they are part of this cruelty. They are part of this, and they cannot stand before of us and lecture us or gaslight us. The Supreme Court is cowardly, and we have many others who are cowardly. Stand with our community, and we all do.
Thank you. We have one more speaker, Senate Pro Tem-elect Monique Limon.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. Senator Monique Limon. In June and early August, our community saw incredible raids, particularly in our farm workers, amongst our farm workers. And what we learned then is that those raids were targeted based on where people work, and certainly didn't stop there. When you look at what happened in Camarillo, California in August, you saw that U.S. citizens were detained. You saw that veterans, military veterans were detained for speaking out. And so we start to see that the threats that we had feared, the moments that we have feared, are now going to be solidified by the Supreme Court's decision. It is going to now be okay to make certain claims and discriminate based on where you work, based on the language you speak, based on what you look like, in the name of the federal government's priorities. And that is why we are here united, speaking against this, making sure that everyone knows that the Supreme Court's decision is a continuing and added threat to our communities in California that already are experiencing injustice, that are experiencing a collapsing judicial system, a collapsing rule of law that has been the foundation of this country's Constitution. So we're here in solidarity to speak out against the Supreme Court's decision, but also to let everyone know, because everyone is impacted. It is not just our immigrant community. As I said, it is also U.S. citizens. It is also members of unions. It is people who speak multiple languages. It is our military veterans who have fought around the world to protect these freedoms, to protect these rights that are now in jeopardy. And we're here in solidarity to speak out against it and to let Californians know that we share their concern, that we share their commitment to uphold the values that our Constitution affords every single person in this country. Thank you.
To all my colleagues, thanks again for ceding the call of urgency. I'll wrap it up with just also expressing that we have a number of pieces of legislation that are going through the process right now, and urge our colleagues to support each and one of these, and also send a message to the governor that while our Supreme Court and those judges who are there to support Donald Trump's calling, we ask that he support ours and the immigrants that live in this state and in this country by signing the many pieces of legislation that we are moving through the process and will soon be on his desk. I will stop there and open it up for questions. Yes.
While they take questions, I need 6 more likes, guys. 6 more people who haven't hit that like button. Double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Yeah, man. 6 more likes, man. Let's get the likes up.
U.S. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Rubino told me it was pretty clear that it's not something he's going to follow the individual process. Obviously, we probably challenge the court. And at the same time, local law enforcement is now really
to do everything we can and continue to push it as an issue. It is something that's been brought to, raised as a concern by many individuals. And we've talked about, you know, we as legislators have to carry our ID. We have to show our ID and say who we are. Most of our local police departments have to do the same. They have to identify themselves. So what we're saying is that it's not okay to just show up in unmarked vans, wearing masks, not identifying yourself, and kidnapping people, because that is what is happening today. And so we will continue to push this bill forward and see what we end up with at the end.
All right, you know what I'm saying? So basically, we got the full rundown, man. You know, this is taking place due to the Supreme Court, you know, basically lifting the bans that they had on sanctuary cities, guys. So now Trump is going into places like California, Chicago, you know, New York, anywhere that calls themselves a sanctuary city, and basically raiding with the help of the National Guard, guys. We heard from people from Chicago, their leaders, Karen Bass. We heard from Los Angeles leaders, you know, right there. We heard from people once again, the other people in Chicago. This is most definitely turning into something that needs to be watched very closely. It could get out of hand very fast due to the different opinions of people and the politicians on what Trump got going on. We also heard him throw around the racist word, man. You know, when it comes to them basically being able to stop and ask anyone, you know, for their proof of citizenship, guys. So I will most definitely keep an eye on all of this. We will most definitely keep you up to date with everything that's going on Everything News. I hope y'all enjoyed the show, man. Man, listen, no matter how you feel about it, whether you're for it or against it, it's most definitely happening. And it's always good to get both sides, man. I try my best to give both sides of the situation. You know, that's how we stay neutral. We're not for or against anybody on anything news. We're just basically putting the information forth. Yeah, man. So shout out to everybody in the building. I appreciate everybody who pulled up. Shout out to anybody that subscribed. Make sure you turn your notification bell to all so you don't miss nothing when it comes to getting your fix of the news, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to my members. You know, I most definitely would not be anything without y'all, man. Y'all know how it go. It's time for me to make my grand exit, you know. So until I see y'all again, y'all stay safe. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm gone.